Okay, good evening, everyone. If you're from Perth, if you're from over east, maybe somewhere else in the world, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this this online event or call. I'm excited to have you on here and share basically really simple steps that everybody can follow when it comes to supporting our gut health, and more importantly, doing it with sources of food, which is really just killing two birds with one stone, because, you know, obviously using great whole foods and fermented foods, which is what I'm going to talk about tonight, to support your gut is going to be giving you added nutritional benefits in all sorts of realms anyway, and fuel your body, which is fantastic. So thanks to those that have shared where they're zooming in from tonight. I appreciate you doing that. But yeah, as I said, really with tonight's call, it's all based on my own experience with gut health, and at a time in my life I went through that all goes back to, you know, my gut being in quite a bit of disarray. And, you know, the things I'm going to be sharing with you are all, you know, results driven, and the results that I've seen not only in myself and those around me, but all the clients I work with. And realistically, I think you're also going to see that it's just common sense. And a lot of the time, that's all it boils down to. Health boils down to common sense. And we just need to sometimes let go of all the things we keep hearing, and just go back to our foundations. Oh, there's my alarm. Sorry, it's telling me to get on here. The foundations of health and really what it's all about. So, you know, the other thing that, as I said, inspired me to do tonight is there's been such an outbreak of flus, colds, and gastro this winter. There's been record numbers. I'm hearing it on the radio. I'm hearing it on the news. Hospitals are saying they're having the biggest amount of patients checking in for these. Pop it in the chats if anyone can agree with me. Has anyone had this, like, been hit with it really bad this last, you know, 1 to 2 months? Has anyone know someone that has? I'd love to get your feedback. Please feel free to share in the chats if you feel that it's also been going around quite a bit. And I think the thing with gut health is, you know, whether it is immunity, whether it's the flu, gastro, whether it's IBS, whether it's Crohn's disease, whether it's depression, you know, studies show that it can all be and is linked back to the quality of our gut health. So who am I to be able to share this with you? Well, for those of you who have never heard me speak before or seen me before, I am Carla Thomas, and I am a holistic counsellor in mind-body medicine. I studied at Endeavour College of Natural Medicine or Natural Health. I am the wife to my darling husband Byron, darling most of the time, tonight yes, and I'm also the mum to 2 beautiful fur babies. I've got a dog called Cajun and a cat called Boris. I'm an absolute well-being and whole food cheerleader. I'm so passionate about helping people see the power in plants and just how crucial nutrition can be to really letting us live our life in a state of vitality. You know, really what it boils down to. I get to do this as well with an awesome company called the Juice Plus Company, for which I'm a national marketing director, which is amazing. I get brilliance of opportunities to reach out to so many more people when it comes to whole food wellness through them. I'm also an I Quit Sugar expert. So I did the program myself back in 2013 before it was even available online. I got the book and went for it, and as someone that was already, you know, quite healthy and living a holistic lifestyle, I was quite surprised at what I learned out of that too. So I'm passionate about that, and I've been involved with the program online since it launched in 2013, and we currently have a program going on now. So some of you who follow my pages might have seen I was supposed to put a post up of the food tonight, and yeah, some amazing meals when you go sugar free. People get surprised. So that's also another one of my loves and passions. I am an entrepreneur. I like to think of myself as a thought leader, not a thought follower. And I'm actually an ex-professional dancer and cheerleader as well. So there's a bit of a fun fact for you. So that's a little bit about me. So, you know, hopefully now you feel like you know me a little bit better. And we can enjoy the rest of tonight, you know, going through some fun facts and in a really relaxed vibe that I think feels more like a conversation rather than a seminar, because that's, you know, more my style. If anything does pop up, as in you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I won't be able to sort of stop as I go, but if we have time at the end, then I'd love to be able to answer anything that someone might still want to know. Just having a read there, Ange mentioned lots of students missing long periods of time from school this year due to the illnesses you mentioned. Yeah. Absolutely. And anyone with young kids, especially in daycare, would notice that they pick up everything. And, you know, just as you get them better, you pop them back there and they're sick again. So, yeah, absolutely want to help show you how you can be proactive with that. So for me, my true awareness of the link between our gut health, it hit me like a freight train back in August of 2012. Throughout that year, I had started to experience a series of allergies or allergic reactions. I'd get swollen eyes, hives, and really randomly, I couldn't pinpoint what was causing it. I just knew that generally, you know, the onset came through exercise, so just basically body heat. And it ended with me having an anaphylactic shock in the bathroom of my gym. I was very lucky that somebody found me, and there was a hospital nearby, and you know, an EpiPen was used, and yeah, I was hospitalised, and we started to figure out that I had actually developed a full-blown allergy to something. We just didn't know what as yet. So the thing with that is, it not only would I have had poor gut health to begin with, but that just took it out of me even more, and I wasn't really reading the signs, or I wasn't adding more probiotics. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't told anything, and I ended up back in hospital less than 2 weeks later with a really severe case of gastro and being so dehydrated because my poor body had just had it. Now, here's the thing. I was relatively healthy. Probably, you know, you learn constantly every year. I never say you get there, but I definitely was on a path of health and well-being and ate well and lived well, but I was experiencing a lot of emotional stress throughout that year, and that 6 months when it had all started, led up to the anaphylactic shock. And I was also physically exhausted between dancing, working on my feet all day, keeping fit. So between the two of them, what ended up happening was my gut had basically had enough, and it decided to form an allergy against wheat. And this was at the age of 25. So up until that point, I had been completely fine, and now all of a sudden, my body went, "Nah, don't want you to have wheat." So that was really all I was told, that I'm going to need to carry an EpiPen, always have some antihistamines in case as well, and basically just stay away from gluten and wheat. But I didn't still understand why this was. Like, why wheat? Why now? So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do my own research into this. And through lots of reading, through lots of watching and documentaries and great professors and things, a lot that's available online and through books, I really started to understand the link between our gut and our health on both the mind-body level. So, you know, I'm all for scientific evidence and research. So if that's you, because I'm not going to go too much into that tonight, I really, really recommend getting onto YouTube and listening to Natasha McCampbell-McBride. She presented brilliantly at the Wise Traditions in London 2010, and look, it goes for almost 2 hours, so you might want to watch bits at a time and take notes, but she goes all into GAPS, which is gut and psychology syndrome, and it's so fascinating if you really want to get to a deeper level when it comes to gut health. But the big thing to take away from that is that 80% of our immunity lies within the gut. And most people do not realize this. So, you know, our gut can be affected both on a physical level, that could be through our food choices, for example, but also on a psychological level. So if we're thinking, you know, emotional trauma, stress, unhappiness, anything like that can be affecting the level of our gut health as well. Now, the thing is, when you are supporting your gut on an everyday basis, and it's quite strong, it can cope with the little hits of, you know, trauma and stress here and there, you know. So if you know, basically might have a not so great meal or have a bit of a stressful period, it can help get by. But when it's already weak, that's when it basically shuts down and you start to get effects in all different kinds of ways. And I mentioned some of those before. How somebody reacts to poor gut health is going to be completely different to the person next to them. But for me, it was definitely in the form of depression and anxiety. For a lot of people, it is things like Crohn's, it is things like IBS, it is things like digestive issues, some of which I've mentioned, bloating, it is allergies or intolerances. So it just depends, but it's all a form of having an unhealthy gut. So, you know, we need to be supporting it with fantastic nutrition in the form of whole foods and probiotic and pre-probiotic rich foods every single day, because what you want to build is a really beautiful and healthy and wealthy ecosystem within your gut. You want to have it filled with your bacterial friends, okay? Because then it can handle those, as I said, those stressful or not so great food choice times. But when we're not doing that, then it becomes overrun with the bad guys of the microflora world, the ones we don't want to be there. And to put it simple, that's when shit happens. That's when shit hits the fan. So does that make sense to everyone? I'd love to know, you know, if that kind of broke it down a little bit more. Is anyone going, oh, wow, I can see a link now between that something that they're going through at the moment, or somebody that I know? Kirsty says yes. Yeah, please leave a comment, because it's about you guys tonight, and being able to offer you the education and tools that you need. So yeah, I'd love to know, and yeah, just give a thumbs up or a yes in the comment section. Perfect. So moving on. So as I said, tonight I didn't want to flood you with scientific information. There's plenty of sources you can get all that in-depth stuff from, but I wanted to be able to straight away give you the tools required, well, I believe, to building that beautiful community that I've been talking about of bacteria in the gut. So I call it your SWAT team. That's exactly what you want in there. So, you know, picture, you know, the police force, the SWAT team, they're basically armed and they're positioned all throughout your gut. They're ready for the bad guys and they're ready to knock them down. That's what you want. You want to have more good versus more bad. Think of your gut's ecosystem. Okay, so for example, if we take, everyone knows the area of Beverly Hills, right, in LA. So that's the fancy area, beautiful states, beautiful mansions. You want your gut to look like Beverly Hills. You do not want it to look like the slums, okay? So what I'm about to share with you are all those things that are going to be helping your gut look like Beverly Hills, all right? So that way you can be absorbing, you know, all the nutrients and the good things that you might already be putting into your body, you know, and then it can be supporting a good mindset, good digestive system, good immunity, better energy, and loads and loads of other, you know, great healthy benefits and lifestyle benefits in terms of what we need each day. So, right, the first one I'm going to talk about is probiotics. Now, I love the Beverly Hills analogy. Thanks, Lauren. Anything to help you guys get a better understanding. Now everyone's thinking that they're going to be shopping for the best things possible to be putting in there, aren't they? Okay, so a good probiotic. Now, most of us by now have heard of probiotics, even if we haven't quite understood what they are. I'm pretty sure we would have seen them in health stores or TV ads and been told somewhere that, you know, we need those. Now, I do recommend that really most of us should be investing in a good quality probiotic supplement to take every day. And that's because realistically, we don't get enough of those types of foods that support our gut health. Now, some people do, and I'm going to go through some of these foods afterwards. And look, if you're ticking off, you know, 2 to 3 of those at least every single day, and you have a really good plant-based or whole food diet, then yeah, you might have enough through all those sources to get support your gut health. But really, for the everyday person, I really recommend investing in a good quality probiotic that you can take once or twice a day, just to make sure you're basically, it's like an insurance policy on your gut health. So, you know, for me, I tend to only use one when I travel, but that's because I eat a lot of fermented foods, which again, I'm going to talk about in a moment. But definitely, as I said, you know, if you're away or not home, and then on an everyday basis. So The one that I use is actually called, and look, there are plenty of great ones. The better ones are generally practitioner dispensed only. So, you know, whether that's a nutritionist or a naturopath, but can you recommend a good one from Kelly Cohen? Yes, I'm about to. This is the one I use. Guys, I've got nothing to do with this brand whatsoever. It's called Orthoplex, and it's just based on, I've used different ones before. I've used Metagenics brands before, but this one you can actually get over the counter yourself, and it's the one my naturopath recommended to me, Kat Blake. She's fabulous. I'm not sure if she's on the call tonight, actually, but she knows what my values are when it comes to, you know, what I put in my body and my philosophy. So for me, the Orthoplex is it's dairy-free, it's vegetarian, it's FODMAPs friendly. You know, it's also free from corn, gluten, shellfish, soy, yeast, and nuts. So it's basically really quite viable for everyone. Best time to take it, look, generally I do morning and night. I know that a lot of times, you know, they can say, oh, take it before a meal or after meal or with a meal. But look, in my sense, I've always just said that the thing is just taking it. That's really the important thing. It's just taking it and doing it consistently. So if you've currently got quite poor gut health or you're not well, then I recommend at least starting on 2 per day, just to kickstart that, and then you might be able to go back down to 1. So I'm just going to type that in the Orthoplex. You can also get a kid-friendly one. There you go. I've just typed in the comments section for anyone that couldn't quite read it on there, and that's just a basic multiflora one. So I really recommend, as I said, getting a probiotic supplement into you every single day. Okay, the next part I'm going to get into, and really this is the crucial and exciting part, and what I've absolutely loved to learn to embrace, I should say, and is definitely a part of my plate every day, and that is fermented foods. Okay, so people often go, what is fermented foods? And we're actually around them. We just don't realise it. So, for example, if I was to ask, you know, has everybody heard of sauerkraut? You know, pop me in the gallery, whose faces, raise your hand if you've heard of sauerkraut. Okay, a few hands. Raise your hand if you've heard of yogurt, like good quality, yep, Greek, 100% full fat yogurt, perfect. Anyone heard of bone broth? Yep, great. Anyone heard of kefir? Yep, kombucha? Yep, kimchi? Perfect, right. So see all those foods? Miso is another one when you get good quality. They're already actually out there. I think the difference is in finding ones that are actually worth investing in. I mean, we're so blessed nowadays that a lot of these can be found in the supermarkets, whereas you couldn't before. You really just had to make them on your own at home, or really dig into finding a health and wellness store to grab them. So I'm glad that more people are jumping on the fermented foods bandwagon. But for me, at the end of the day, this is the strongest form of pre and probiotic foods that you can have. And the best part about it is it's food. So it totally can fit into your, you know, your recipes, your eating plan, and it's cheap. So much cheaper than having to load yourself with so many too many supplements or medications, which so many people are on now for their gut. So if you can be making some of this at home pretty much, you know, for next to nothing, and it's adding nutritional value in other ways and fuel, then why not? You know, it makes complete sense. So, yep, Tanya's answered in there. Awesome. So for me, kefir is definitely a yes. I'll just type in how you spell that. So it's K-E-F-I-R. Okay. Now, kefir is something that I remember when I was first introduced to, I was like, oh, what is that? And it's basically just a cultured yogurt. So the consistency is somewhere between a yogurt and a milk, kind of like a runny yogurt. The great thing is now you can actually get good kefir available in good gourmet delis or health stores. Babushkas is a great one. I try and go for the ones that are just basically plain to make sure they don't have any added sugars or anything like that. But you can also make it at home, and all you really need is the milk. And the really good thing about kefir is it pre-digests the lactase and most of the protein. So for anyone, Babushka IGA, yep, Kathy's popped that in there. I know my local fruit and veg gourmet has it, and Clara's Whole Foods in Fremantle, heaps of places if you were to have a look on Google. And making it at home is really cheap because all I need is the milk. So as I said, for those who might have intolerances with dairy, most of the time they find they can actually handle kefir because of the fact that it pre-digests most of the lactase. You can do water kefir as well. But for me, I basically aim to have about a cup of kefir per day. And for me, it's a nightcap. So that's my habit. I like to have my dinner, and then about an hour later I like to have a cup of tea with some kefir on its own with maybe a sprinkle of ground cinnamon. Sometimes I add some berries. You could do that for your breakfast instead of using milk or yogurt or a smoothie. But it's fantastic, and it's so much stronger than your average yogurt. And you know, you really notice the difference when you start to consistently take it. So I highly recommend that everybody starts to invest in including kefir. Even if you start just with a little bit per day and work your way up, you will truly notice a difference, and in terms of your regularity as well. So if anyone else takes kefir and has felt a difference with that, I'd love you to pop a mention of that in the comments section and share. I'd love to hear your story. Okay, the next one is kombucha. Now this is really doing the rounds at the moment. This is kind of like the it drink. So is anyone here drinking kombucha and loving it? Yeah, great. Awesome. So kombucha is basically a fermented tea. So you can make it at home using what we call a SCOBY, which kind of looks, look, my description's not going to sound great. It looks between like a squid kind of thing, but it's what does the fermenting. Otherwise, you can get some great brands out there. I'm a massive fan advocate at the moment for a Rock Margaret River. They make the best kombucha I've had that tastes the closest to homemade. I'll admit I've gotten slack with doing homemade because it's just so available now, whereas once upon a time I needed to do it on my own. But you want one that's really low in sugar and, you know, doesn't have a lot of added sugar. It should really have all that is needed to ferment, really. So that's why I recommend brands like Rock, which are making their way through a lot of Perth cafes and stores now. Otherwise, you can look at making your own at home and playing around with flavours. So, you know, one shot of kombucha even for your kids is going to do so much more than what a probiotic could, and it's tasty as well. So kombucha is a massive one. Someone's popped yes, Kirsty, awesome. Okay, so the next one is bone broth. Okay, so bone broth is, I mean, look, people have been drinking broths and soups and that for years. We know that it's high density nutrition, and what actually happens with the bone broth is it draws all of the minerals and the nutrients from the bones, and things like collagen and elasticin, for example, all these things that are amazing for joints, but also for your gut health. So what's really awesome about it is, you know, you can just make a huge pot at home, and I like to follow, I don't know if anyone's heard of Sally Fallon, Nourishing Traditions. It's a great book that really just goes to the foundations of foods that people would have been eating from way back. You can probably find it online. I'll write it in here. And in fact, if you Google Sarah Wilson bone broth, that's the recipe that she tends to follow and use as well, and that's my one. So Sarah Wilson, you can look at her bone broth. I'm just typing it in, guys. Or Sally Fallon, Nourishing Traditions. Okay. Now the beautiful thing about this is you can make a huge pot and then you can store it in the freezer for a rainy day. So I like to store it in batches, and then I like to enjoy a cup of it on its own, maybe sometimes complementing a meal. Sometimes I'll do that with miso instead, miso soup, another great fermented option. And then also you can use it as a stock. So if you don't really like the taste of it on its own, then you could always use it, especially when it comes to kids, included in some sort of soup or casserole meal that you're making that requires stock. So it can take a little bit of time because you basically want it to go for anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. Slow cookers are great for that. but it's totally worth it. And I'm forever dropping bone broth to people when they say to me that they're not feeling well or sick. I'm like, I've got some in the freezer. I'll get some to you. So especially, I highly recommend spending a weekend. Can it be frozen? Yes, Yvonne, it can. So same, you can make it, keep some in the fridge, but obviously if you know that you're just going to want to use it when you want, freeze it in small batches and small containers, so when you want some, you can use it 100%. Okay, so the next one is gelatin gummies. Okay, so going back to exact same reasons I said with the bone broth, gelatin is fantastic when it comes to our immune system and our gut health. If it's fairly new and something where you don't really want to play around with it on your own, there's actually a really good pre-made gelatin powder mix that I Put Sugar has put out, and it's available in Woolworths. I'm not sure about Coles, but I know that definitely in Woolworths. And you can just buy the gelatin mix and make the gelatin gummies. And look, they're a fantastic snack. If anyone's had a gummy-style lolly before, it's exactly what it can be like. You can play around with different ingredients and flavours and fruits. I know that one that I love is a coffee espresso flavoured one that I've made before, and then keep it in the fridge. It's another great way, especially with kids, to be able to get good probiotics into them via the gummies, because they're going to love it and enjoy it as well. So as I said, I really recommend getting onto those, and for a good pre-made gelatin mix, then the I Put Sugar ones are fantastic. All right, kimchi is another one. This is a traditional Korean fermented veg, traditionally using cabbage. Sometimes it's got things like onion in there, maybe some carrot. You can get really good raw ones now that include things like beetroot in there, especially when it comes to raw food and quality stores. Kathy, I love kimchi. Me too. It's generally got a bit of chili in there too to add a bit of spice and a bit of kick. A little goes a long way. So again, this is such an easy thing that you could make yourself, because it's just pickled fermented veg that you're just going to keep in the fridge. Or if you want to pick some up, just grab yourself to the local Whole Food or wellness cafe or organic store. Even Asians. I mean, you need to sort of be careful at the Asian stores sometimes, but you can always just make your own if you really want to, and then you know exactly what goes into it. And then the last one I wanted to touch on in terms of foods is sauerkraut. Now, hands up if you love sauerkraut. Yeah. Funny thing, so sauerkraut is really quite an Eastern European food. Now, I'm Czechoslovakian. Both my parents are from the Czech Republic. So I grew up eating cooked cabbage and sauerkraut, but had no idea of the benefits that it was actually giving me until later on in life. So I'm so grateful, because things like sauerkraut are a staple in my fridge. They are always there, whether I'm making it on my own, which does not take long. You literally either chopped cabbage, either some whey or some salt, add some caraway seeds if you want, bang it down, juice it all down until you get it all crammed nice and tight into a jar container, and let it ferment. So again, just Google how do I make sauerkraut, how do I make kimchi, all those things. It's so available online. You can also grab it already made, whether it's health stores. Even if you go into like the European section of your food store, you grab some Polish sauerkraut. Delicious. I just made some quick cooked kraut tonight with my dinner. I posted it a little bit earlier using red cabbage, just like that. It's a part of your meal, but you're supporting your gut at the same time. So, keep that in your fridge. It's an amazing, amazing staple to have for your gut health, okay? So, they're the fermented foods. Does anyone have any questions from there? Please pop it into the comments if I can, but hopefully that's definitely given you some great food sources to go for when it comes to supporting your gut health. The next thing that I want to touch on, which played a part and continues to, and people just forget, is the power of whole foods. So fruits, veg, legumes, nuts and seeds, herbs, all these beautiful things that Mother Nature provided for us, are so nourishing and supporting a healthy, clean gut. So all processed foods and sugars and heavy things such as, a lot of gluten from like pasta and bread and too much rice, too much of all that, it clogs our gut. It's like clad glue. So what happens is these beautiful little villi that stand like this in our gut, instead of being able to absorb the good stuff, it basically goes onto it clogs it up, and all the villi just go meow. So even the good things that you're putting into your gut might just basically pass through and not be absorbed. So you want to eat really good, clean, healthy, supportive foods that allow your villi to stand like this and basically absorb as much as it can. Because a lot of the time that's the problem too. It's not that we're not eating well, it's just that our gut isn't like this inside. So all that good nutrition is basically getting passed down, which you don't want. So, you know, you can also, if you don't feel that you're getting enough on your plate to be able to create those healthy cells, then I do recommend a really good whole food supplement. To ensure that you're supporting on that level. So for me, that is Juice Plus. I'm a proud advocate of it, and I have been now for 6 years. I talk about it on my website and all my calls. It was a crucial part of me getting my health back on track and healing my gut. And all it is fruits, vegetables, and berries in a capsule. So it's just, if you think about, if you've ever had a juice before and all the sediment that sits at the top, it's basically that part, but it's just been dehydrated under non-invasive temperatures, just, you know, basically above 0 degrees, into a powder form, and then it's encapsulated in a vegan capsule. So it's a really convenient way for you to basically put that in your body and every day benefit from 17 to 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries in a really simple and convenient form. Now, you know, I think the best of us, no matter how healthy we are, we still have a gap when it comes to our fruit and veg intake, and this is a great way to be able to close it. The other thing too is many people who suffer from gut-related issues, so let's take for example Crohn's disease, are limited on the fruits and vegetables they can actually eat. So they're missing out on so much good nutrition simply because their body can't break it down and digest it. So when it comes to the Juice Plus, it's actually bioavailable and easy to take because the gut doesn't have to do all the breakdown and processing of all that's been done. It's just able to absorb it. Especially when those who have those types of diseases, they can eat more cooked, but not a lot of raw fruit and veg, which, you know, we know is generally better in that form. Just quickly answering Kathy's question, do you recommend 2 fermented foods per day and a probiotic? Look, I recommend, you know, don't overdo anything, but I definitely have kefir every day. I probably get a little bit of kombucha. What else would I get out of those things? Sauerkraut. So I would definitely get those sources. And look, for me, I feel that's enough in my diet. But if you don't feel that you're functioning all that good, and sometimes I notice it, you know, you notice it on the toilet or you're just not feeling great, then yeah, have some probiotic. But I definitely think, yeah, I would be saying to do 1 a day unless you really feel that you're on par with just the foods, and that may take a while to build anyway. So I think you've really got to learn to read and understand your body, and when you are healthy, you understand when it's working at its best and when it's not. And then you can give and take if you should be adding more probiotic into it or you're okay just on the food fact. I hope that answered your question, Kathy. So just to go back to the added whole food supplement, I just want to see if Luce is on the line tonight. Don't think she is. I'm going to take Luce as an example. Beautiful colleague and friend of mine who had Crohn's disease. Now, she actually just went in for a biopsy. The name is escaping me tonight, but you know what I'm talking about, to see if she's actually gotten rid of her Crohn's disease. Now, she suffered terribly. She used to have anywhere from 5 to 10 attacks per day, and she basically couldn't eat anything except a lot of actually junk food, but a lot of healthy food her body just couldn't handle. So for her, Juice Plus was such a blessing because for the first time she was able to get so much nutrition that she was missing out from the real deal on her plate in this basically powdered form of those ingredients, which is amazing. And in that sense, she also started to heal her gut to the point now where she doesn't have any of those symptoms or issues. She'll very, very rarely get an attack, and she's almost about to be declared Crohn's free. So that's just through the power of healing yourself through foods that I've already been mentioning and things like Juice Plus, which is just amazing. So that's why I'm a really, really big advocate of this product and these types of foods. The other thing that I wanted to talk about too, just quickly with that is, you know, there are certain foods, things like, let's take for example, like chickpeas and legumes that are actually really good, like prebiotic foods for our gut. And so, you know, some of these foods we don't eat very often because if we're already having troubles to digest it, we find that you might give flatulence, and that's something that people are very kind of scared of. I will warn you, when you start having fermented food, you're not used to it, be prepared. It's just your gut working, okay? It will start to level out, but it is quite normal. Do you soak legumes? Yes. Especially when you're buying dry, definitely soak them to basically pre-digest and get the enzymes alive, so it's easier for your body to break down. Some people do these with nuts. Not everyone needs to, but yeah, I do recommend pre-soaking your legumes if you can. And if, look, you're in a hurry and you need to buy them canned, then please just give them a really, really good rinse under water to make sure you're washing off any added salts and sugars or anything else that they might have been soaked in. All right. So I do recommend, getting it from macro sources as well. And the Juice Plus actually has a complete superfood powder, which is full of ingredients that help support the gut as well. So that's really important. You can get it obviously on that fruit, vegetable, berry blend level and your micronutrients. Okay. So that's all your antioxidants and your vitamins, your minerals, your enzymes. But then in terms of the fuel source, which is your proteins, your good plant-based carbohydrates and fats, then this is a really good superfood powder for that as well. If you feel that you're lacking actually eating enough of that on your plate, or maybe there are ingredients that you never ever eat. You might never eat alfalfa sprouts and things like broccoli and, as I mentioned, chickpea and soy, etc. So that's just some food for thought for you guys. So really, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm not going to give you too much because that's it. These are the things, these are the starting points, these are the non-negotiables. This is what I did to rebuild my gut health, guys, and my gut is working immaculately. Okay, so this is what I did to rebuild the ecosystem. This is what I do to keep it going to this day. But the key is consistency. It's not just when we're not feeling so great or we're feeling struck down with something or things aren't working. If you take a proactive approach and include these types of sources of foods and whole foods every single day, you're much more likely to avoid getting struck down with things like gastro and the flu, etc. So these are the kinds of things that help you thrive. For me, I'm not recommending just go. Someone's just telling me to muted. I'm not recommending that anyone goes and unmedicates themselves if you are on anything, whether that is IBS or whether that's depression. But I know for me, once I got my gut intact, which is linked to, it's like your second brain, basically your gut. So that's why if you've ever been nervous before and you go, why has my tummy got butterflies? It's because it's feeling what's going on in your head. That's the best way I know how to show the connection, right? So once I started to fix this started working a lot better. So for me, as I said, it's so much more than just a physical side. It's on that mind level as well, which is so crucial. I don't suffer from any cramping, any bloating. I'm regular. I haven't suffered anxiety attacks at all or been on meds for depression since the end of 2011. And I just don't get knocked down by the basic things. Everyone's like, don't get near me, I've had a cold. I'm like, really? And I don't say that to impress you. I say to impress upon you. When you work on building your immune system, the little things just stop getting to you because you're strong enough to just not catch it, or really just, only get like a little glimpse of something and be over it. So I think that's really important. And the best part is I get to help people like you now take control of your health, put it in your own hands, rather than going, I don't know what else to do. I suppose I'll take the medication, whatever. No, go out there and take a proactive approach to getting your gut working at the way that it wants to and the level that it wants to. So in closing, I really just want to say thank you. I'm just going to see if there's any more questions, just pop them in there now. Otherwise, I'm going to close it off. Look, if there's anything that pops to mind and you're not sure of right now, you can contact me by my Facebook page. Some of you may have come on to hear from that, called Carla Thomas Live Clean, and I'll be happy to answer a question. Alternatively, if you pop into my website, www.carlathomas.com and .au, should know that, shouldn't I? .com or .au. You can go through there and basically there's a contact section and you can send through a query and it'll go straight to my email as well. So I want to thank you all for coming on here. As I said, if you've got any more information based on what I spoke about tonight, if you'd like any more information, please reach out. I do a lot of talks like this online and one-on-one consulting, and I can always pass you on to the people that might be able to help. So that's about it from me. Thanks again. I hope that you got something out of that. My VA's on here, Michelle. She's probably putting a slap on the face right now. She's just popped my website in there at the moment. Kyra, is your cult any good? Plain and simple, no. No. Your cord is not great. You are much, much better tapping into the sources that I've spoken about tonight, and just getting some good quality yoga over your cord. I don't recommend that whatsoever. It's got quite a bit of sugar, which kind of defeats the purpose of having something that's supposed to support your gut, given that sugar doesn't. Michelle, thank you. Really make it easy to understand. Thank you. I really appreciate that feedback, because that's what it's all about. It's about you guys understanding. So, all right, that's it. What about coconut yogurt? Yeah, look, coconut yogurt is great. Again, just look out for labels, because people can destroy what was once great for us by adding a whole lot of crap and sugar into there. So really be weary of what's in there. Try and have plain rather than the ones that are either strawberry or chocolate or have additions in there. They tend to be higher in sugar. But yeah, coconuts are fantastic. They really are. They're a wonder food in all sorts of different ways, including coconut oil. Great for the gut. Thanks so much. Easy to understand and implement the next step. You're more than welcome, Yvonne. All right, guys, so I am going to leave it there. I'm going to pop it off record and let everyone say good night.